How is someone going to feel if you have a child, you've never told them you've been dating for 6 months, and all of a sudden you're like, by the way, meet Johnny? Like, how is someone going to feel about that? So at what point do you owe it to a new dating partner to give full disclosure on your past? And at what point can you expect the same thing in return?
Here's when you don't do it. You don't do it online before you've met the person. And a lot of people send these questions back and they tell them everything, all the horrid, horrible things that happened to you when you were a kid, or on a first date, and you burden a person with things like that, you know? It's like, I don't want to hear it, nah, I'm not listening. Women do this a lot more than men, like spill their guts and then realize, oh my gosh, I can't even trust the person with that.
The word you chose was really interesting. So you said, at what point do you owe it to them? And I say, never. You don't owe them anything. Unless there's a medical reason that you have to disclose some sexually transmitted disease, or you have a life-altering, illness, something like that. That's different.
You really don't think you owe it to someone to tell them you had a kid?
When? When I met them? No.
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 Ever?
No, definitely at some point. But
Okay.
I still don't feel that I owe them. You're in a relationship with me, not my kid. Now, when my kid comes into the relationship, that's different.
How is someone going to feel if you have a child, you've never told them you've been dating for 6 months, and all of a sudden you're like, by the way, meet Johnny? Like, how is someone going to feel about that?
Well, there comes a point for sure, but I don't have to owe them that explanation. I might want to share it because they've been pulled closer into my life, but I don't owe them anything.
Part of it is you want to tell them when you're getting into a relationship where there are some trust back and forth, and where there are some issues about, if I don't tell them now, it's going to be harder to tell them later. But also, do you really want to hear everything about them? You tell them when you want to really hear everything about them.
Oh, you're saying, so when I'm ready to hear all your dirt,
yeah,
I can tell
if
you
I don't want to hear all your dirt, I shouldn't tell you all of mine.
If you're wanting to share it to pull them closer and create a new brand or a new level of intimacy, that's one thing. But if you're not over your past and you're cathartically dumping all this crap so that you can work through it in public as a pile on this table for us to sort through, that's the wrong reason.
If all of a sudden you get into a committed relationship and you agree on full disclosure, but now you've disclosed things that maybe should have been disclosed before you got to the committed relationship, now you've got a trust issue going on.
Exactly. That's why I agree with Melanie. I think that especially if it has something to do with a child involved, that changes the whole dynamic of the relationship, right? I mean, maybe you're a person that doesn't want to get involved with somebody that has children. Maybe, and that creates, what are you going to do together in the future? That child's always going to be a part of it. There's, whatever your terms are with your ex-wife, there's so many things that have to do with that. So I think definitely you have to let people know, not on the first date, but, maybe, I don't know, 5-6 dates into it before you really get vested.
What about things like STDs? I mean, this is something that you hear a lot. Some STDs you can really brush under the carpet. Had a little thing of crabs, got some meds, I'm fine, right? But some STDs you can't. You have herpes forever, right? And so when do you say it? And I think if you say it prematurely, people get scared. But I think if you don't say it within a reasonable amount of time, people feel like you're lying to them, and that's your point about trust.
Right.
I think there's a level of consequence for the issue that you're talking about, and how that consequence potentially could play into another person's life that you have to weigh.
People withhold the full truth because they don't want to hurt the other person. And so what you're doing there is you're making a projection, number one. Yeah. But then what I like to tell my clients is to let that person know that you don't have the right to worry about my feelings. Let me worry about my feelings. I want the truth. And then what I do with the truth is my decision. Right. If I choose to freak out, that's my decision. But don't protect me from the truth.
What about deal breakers? So what about things like, I'm a 38-year-old woman and I absolutely want to have children, or I absolutely do not want to have children? When do you say things like that?
Closer to the upfront than...
I think so.
And
I think
I agree. Earlier is better.
First date?
No.
I disagree. I think first date.
Getting to know you.
Yeah.
Rather than
it can't be
don't
the
want to
first
have
date.
children.
I've asked people, I've asked people because if I don't want to have kids, I want to know, that.
I can't picture that though. You meet for coffee for 30 minutes. It's like, my name's Charles, I'd like to have children.
No.
I don't know how to do that. Like, I don't know.
You just
in the right
ask, are you interested in having a family?
On the first date?
Yeah. And it's, you know what, why not? You find out right up front what people are interested in. When it's that kind of a thing, then I think that that's important.
So it sounds like if someone is newly dating, they have to think about deal breakers and timing to figure out what to disclose. And the most important thing is to be in integrity with the relationship they want to create with someone and to know what they're out for. So if you know that you want kids and these types of things, to think through when you say it, not on the first date, not right away, but give it some time as the foundation builds and then disclose appropriately. Sounds like that's the right formula.